Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about comics as usual, and specifically we're going to be talking about romance because I got a question about how to write romance on my live stream. So let's talk about it. So, romance means a lot of things, right? Romance can mean a side plot, right? You could have a side plot romance going on, or you could have a romance, capital R, genre romance. And there's all sorts of subgenres to romance. And basically, they're going to kind of work the same way, regardless of what you're choosing, right? When you think about capital R genre romance, you're going to be looking more into some tropes. You want to kind of hit what that audience wants. You want to get, you want to do your research into the genre like you would any other genre, and then write within it and kind of figure out what's going on there and, write it. Reading lots of romance is a great way to figure out how to write romance, to understand what people like, what you like in romance, and then you move forward with it, right? And when it comes to romance in general, however, that is, again, it's more general. It applies to all sorts of different stories, and there are a few things that kind of come to mind when I think about romance. Romance, at its heart, is a character story. So I often talk about the 4 different types of plots. There's location, question answer, character, and event. So romance falls under character. And specifically, it is 2 character plots that are going on in tandem. It is a push and pull between 2 characters working on bettering themselves. So a character plot is based around this idea that your character starts in one place and they will end up in another place. They'll work out their flaw. And when it comes to romance, what you're kind of doing is that you are using the relationship between these characters as it unfolds to work on their flaws. You want 2 characters that challenge each other in the right way so that they end up better people as they get through it. I did a video where I talked about the 3 things that every character needs, every character plot specifically, and that is a need, a want, and a flaw. And I discussed how the want is like something specific, and in a romance, that want can be to be in a relationship, to find the perfect guy, gal, NB, whatever, and the need is what they need to do in order to achieve that. And in the case of romance, what you're going to do is you're going to have 2 characters that have a flaw, and the flaw is addressed by the need. So at the end of the story, they address their need, and then they receive the want, which is often to have a relationship with this character, right? Like everything works out fine. Usually you're going to have like layers of different plots going on as well, because you don't want the entire story to be based around just them finding each other. I think about rom-coms, and there's usually a larger plot that's occurring alongside the romance, and the romance usually will like wrap up with this major plot. But that's kind of what you do in general with stories, is you want to wrap up things together. And the thing about romance, so someone was asking me how to write queer platonic partnerships, like aromantic relationship stories. And the thing about it is the dynamics are what will change between the different stories. So if you're like writing a romance, you're going to want to do some sensual scenes to different heat levels. I know romance, I know all the things, like different levels for different, like whatever, queer platonic partnership, that will be just kind of like a different heat level. It's a more tight-knit friendship type story, and these can all work in the same way. It's the same thing where you have 2 characters, like regardless of what kind of relationship you're developing, you're going to like be putting these 2 two together, and they are going to resolve each other's flaws, and they're going to help each other both achieve their needs in order to achieve their wants, right? Like, it happens regardless of what kind of relationship you're working on. And like I was saying with like the capital R romance, the genre is kind of what you are applying to subplots. Like, subplots kind of have their own genres to them almost. Or they have their own tropes within genres. So like the fantasy romance that is unfolding within your epic is kind of a fantasy romance. So it has different tropes set up to it. But that's all that kind of separates it from any other relationship story. Romance is a big word to explain an aesthetic choice and the tropes that fall within it, whereas relationships and character, the foundation of it, can be applied to all sorts of things. So you can have a relationship story that is structurally the same between like a parent and child. Like, the structure is the same, where they learn from each other and they become better people. Like, it's they're two sides of a coin, and they work and learn together. This happens a lot of the time. I think typically when it's a story with like a child and a parent dynamic, it's usually the child is more a support character rather than a character who is learning their own thing or going on their own character journey. But that is a thing. Another good example of a relationship story is the buddy cop dynamic. That is like quintessential. A buddy cop story is just a romance without the romance, you know? If you add just a little heat level to any buddy cop story, it becomes a romance, you know? Like, they're just foundationally the same building blocks of stories. And that is how you would apply it to something that is like a queer platonic relationship, is you would just use that and then find tropes, find the type of relationship dynamics that you're looking for. If you're not part of a queer platonic partnership or whatever, you would like research into that. I'm highlighting this because someone asked more specifically about this aspect of it, but like, no matter what kind of relationship story you're doing, if you want that connection that you get from romance, what you want is this sort of braiding of their two stories, making them essential to one another. It's like a give and take, an ebb and flow of these two characters. Anyway, that's my advice on writing romance. I'm very, very tired. I've been going nonstop. I woke up and then I had to just drive to the doctor, and it was like a 2-hour adventure because everything's always far away. And then I had to stream for 4 hours as soon as I got home. And now I'm here just kind of like digesting my dinner, and I'm so tired. And yeah, I'm still gonna do daily videos though, because this is the life I've signed up for. Sorry, it's a bit short. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and I love answering your questions. So if you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.